What's up, everybody? On today's episode, I decided to document this table build that I'm doing. A lot of people were actually interested on Instagram, so I decided to document it. So I'm a little bit late to the documenting game on here, but you'll get the idea. So this is a 4x10 3/4 inch piece of steel that I had laser cut so I could have all my jig holes on them. So this is actually the bottom. I have already cleaned up the holes so the dowel pins and stuff can slide in there. I also started cutting some of the material for the frame. So right now what I'm doing is I'm building the frame. Right now I am working on these legs. So I got to build the cap that goes on here for these ginormous adjusters. These are 5/8 and they hold up to almost 4,000 pounds each. So what I'm doing over here, these are the caps that go on the table, or sorry, the table legs. I have these guys right here that sit inside here, and then they get welded. Then they go in upside down like that. And then that goes in that. So I already have 5 of these guys done real quick. I'm about to bust out the last one, and then we'll get started on the frame. And that's what they look like once they're done. Pretty simple. So now, let's see if this one. So now we have to prep the legs. So these can be welded like that. Gonna put these on the legs first before I build the frame, make it a little bit easier. All right, so everything now is cleaned up where it needs to be, ready for welding. There will be more supports, but this is just the basic frame right now that I'm gonna go ahead and tack up. I went ahead and welded the caps. So that's how they look, and then the adjusters bolt in here. So this is just the layout. I got to take everything off and get this flat surface as straight as possible, or sorry, as flat as possible before I actually weld it. So that's going to be very time consuming. Probably going to be the most time consuming part of this, to make sure that I get this table as flat as possible when it's welded. All right, so quite a bit happened here. Got the frame all tacked up, and then I went ahead and welded it together. So as far as for the tabletop, it took me a while to get it as flat as possible, but it actually wasn't that hard because it's so thick it hardly even bends. I've done thinner tables where you have to be really careful, or else it's not going to be super flat. Added the center supports right there. And then as far as welding the frame to the top, I only threw a couple tack welds on because realistically, I mean, this top just sits on the frame. It's just a few tack welds here and there so it doesn't move. As you can see, just a few. So what I'm doing right now is I'm adding this bar right here, and then I'm gonna add one on this side. And what that is originally I was gonna do these guys as the adjusting casters, but since this table is so big, I decided I'm probably not gonna be moving it around very much. So I went ahead with just these guys. So I'm adding the supports across this way. So if I ever do need to move it, I could use my car jack, or for example, this jack right here, throwing a brain fart, a pallet jack to move it around if I need to. It's already really, really sturdy, doesn't need anything else, but I'm gonna go ahead and add those. And then I might add one in the center just because even though it's overkill, I wanna be able to put like cars on here if I wanted to. So the table is welded up, well, except a few spots that I gotta do. Once I flip it, it'd be a lot easier. I added a couple little corner strength gussets. It was mainly actually more for looks than anything. I thought it was just kind of a cool factor because I had some scrap DOM laying around. So I did that on the corners, and I wasn't gonna add one here in the center, but I went ahead and put this cool little V in there just for fun. Again, another scrap something I've probably messed up. All right, so now the fun part begins where I get to flip this table. Let's do it. Table is now flipped and rolled in place. As you guys saw, do not try that at home. I work by myself a lot, so I have to always figure out how I'm gonna do things like flip a 2,500 pound table over. So I went ahead and welded all the spots from the bottom that I missed. They were just a lot easier to weld after the table was upside down. So the last few things I have to do, these holes, they weren't super perfect. The laser leaves like a little bit of slag, or I'm not sure what it's called exactly. So as you can see, I have tools like these guys. They have to slide in place. It's actually pretty tight tolerance. See, that's just a tad bit of wiggle. It's okay. So the ones that I haven't done, you can, like this one, you can see it doesn't go in super smooth. So what I did was I bought a drill bit that is just a hair smaller than the actual holes. And I just run it real quick through there, and it cleans up just a little bit of stuff left over. So I have to finish some of the other holes, and then after that, just clean the top. Probably run some Scotch-Brite on the grinder, give it a good little clean. And then the last thing will be to level the table completely perfect. So my shop has I believe it's 2-degree slope. It was just for code. So I'll have to raise that side up for sure. And then this center a little bit and get it all leveled up. All right, so the table is pretty level. That level that I have is not very long. It works and it's pretty level. Table's really flat. I'm pretty happy with it, but I'm gonna go buy a bigger one, and I think I could fine tune it a little bit better. And then it will just be taking a Scotch-Brite on the on the grinder, and then just going through the top, getting a little bit of tiny surface rust off. There's not much. The great thing is I live in Nevada, so I can literally have raw steel sitting out for years, and it just doesn't rust. So that's gonna be a wrap for this one. I got too much to do, so I need my table since that one is being used up. And then I also had a 1/2-inch smaller one cut down here. I will make that table at a different time. But for now, this will do. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm actually really pumped on how flat it is, because I've made some before where they weren't like super perfect, but this one is flat. And that's the most important thing, I think, when building a jig table like this, because then everything from now on that you build on it will be flat. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Sorry that I can't film everything. Sometimes I kind of forget because it's just me, and it's so much harder doing everything or trying to work and film. But I hope you guys enjoyed this build. Thank you, guys.